Game number one or round number three. Todd, you hear me okay still?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. So we are set up here. Myself, I am personally Vegas Golden Knights home arena, which is T-Mobile Arena. Uh, I'm gonna go ahead and add Ben. What's up, my man?
What's going on? How you doing, Todd?
Ain't nothing to it. It has been a struggle, ladies and gentlemen, getting here today. I am literally, again, just made it to the press box. I hadn't even been in the press box for 10 minutes yet. Literally got off the plane, got my luggage, got a rental car, and headed straight to the arena in order to be able to do at least a few minutes here this pregame show for round number three, game number one for the Dallas Stars and Vegas Golden Knights. So let's just kind of get some general feelings. Todd, we'll start with you, sir. How you feeling about tonight's game and this matchup?
I'm pumped. I think it's a good matchup. I think we have better depth than them, and we'll see what happens.
All right, Ben, what about yourself?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good, especially coming off of this game 7. You know, the question has been asked a lot: does momentum continue? I think it does, but even if they do lose this game 1, we've seen how they've been able to bounce back after losses, even horrible losses. So, you know, I'm beyond excited right now with this series, and I think there's a lot of storylines here too. So this is definitely gonna live up to the hype, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll get into some of those storylines here in just a moment. We got Al High in the building. He says, "What's up, fellas? What's up?" Al High, you can find him on the Disrespected Senses podcast and the Casual Highlights show as well. We got Anna in the building. She says, "Hi, Ben. Hi, Todd. How are you, Anna? Good to hear from you, man." So me in general, again, I'm excited about the matchup. Obviously, you know, whenever you advance, it's a good thing. You know, so you're in round 3, which is the Western Conference Final, and you don't get there very often, so you can't necessarily take that for granted. So now I want to get your thoughts, gentlemen, and we'll start with you, Ben, after I kind of give mine. Pete DeBoer used to be the coach of the Las Vegas Golden Knights. In fact, in some of his press conferences leading up to this series, he had talked about how some of the staff that was in Dallas last year and him crossed paths on the highway, one heading to Dallas and the other one heading to Vegas. When asked immediately after Game 7 his thoughts about meeting his former team and organization, he said that's a lot to unpack. So I'll get to that in the coming days. In the coming days, he made such comments as, I like the organization and I know that they've been well coached for several years, which got a chuckle out of the media because he included himself in that several years, obviously. And he said he would be, lying. And again, I'm paraphrasing, but he goes, he would be lying if he was to say that there's not a little extra something here, And in Pete DeBoer's defense about losing his job, he lost his job after losing approximately 500 man games to injury. So again, it wasn't one player, it wasn't two players, it wasn't three players, but when we add up all of the players that were missed because of injury, and how many games each of them had, that is 500 games. And yet you still hold your coach responsible for that after he had already done well in his years at your organization. Hey, that is hockey for you. So, Ben, give me your thoughts on that. But first, let me just introduce everybody to Richard Grant. Richard, appreciate you for joining us, sir. We just
Hey,
got
how's it going,
started.
gentlemen?
We've only been at it for
How's
about
it going,
5
Richard?
minutes or so.
You know,
You're good. So before I go to Ben on his thoughts about Coach DeBoer, how are you feeling in general about this game and about this matchup?
I think it's going to be a tough matchup. These teams faced off a few years ago when they were in the bubble, and Stars got the better of them then, and hopefully the same thing plays out this time. But Vegas is not they're not a bad team at all. They're awesome.
We'll get into that in just a moment. That's a good point about that matchup, and we'll talk about which version of this Vegas Knights team we're going to face, this Golden Knights team we're going to face. Ben, your thoughts on Coach DeBoer and his relationship with the Vegas franchise?
Yeah, I think obviously it was their initial season. Dawk, you might want to mute. We can hear all.
Oh, really? Okay, cool. I'm glad to see you.
All right, cool. Yeah. Pete was there in their inception. So I think there's a lot of connections there. I think there's definitely a lot of, probably not bad blood, but there's probably some sensitivity there, especially when you've been there from the beginning. He's got some relationships still there with some of the players. So I think, when it comes down to it, he's already said that he's not thinking about it, and this in the past. But I guarantee you there's probably some feeling where he's, going into that building, there's going to be some emotions. He said he's already came there. They've already played there this season. So that is kind of out of it. But when it comes to the playoffs, I think there's obviously a different range of emotions. But he is the most even keel possibly coach that I've seen. And he is my favorite coach in the DFW right now. So I think he will definitely be okay. He's been here, done it. He's been coaching for years, and I think he's got the right team around him, going into Vegas for this game one.
All right, Todd, your thoughts on this situation with the coach in this former franchise, and it is getting louder.
Yeah.
I have to agree with Ben. I think Pete's a great coach, probably my favorite coach as well in the DFW area. But you can't help but feel like he doesn't want revenge on his former team for firing him and with another coach. He's going to want revenge, and I think he's a great coach to come in and do that for us. And we beat them in the bubble, and we're going to do it again.
Awesome. Go ahead, Richard.
Well, I'm just looking forward to this game, this series. Stars need to get off to a quick start, get on the board early, and they can settle in and play their game.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, and that's where they've had their most success is when they've had early leads, and so Dawk is actually going to have to run. He said it's getting pretty wild there, which I know they're getting close to a puck drop in about 30 minutes. So we'll continue on. Dawk, if you can or cannot chime in, it's all good. All right, he fell off. So glad I was able to come on. Appreciate you, Todd and Richard, for hanging on with us. So let me get to a comment here. DeBoer was pretty good in San Jose and Vegas. He didn't necessarily need to be fired. I know him professionally. He'll be okay. I think he'll want to eliminate Vegas. She says Dallas in 6. I love that prediction. If that is right, I love that prediction. And I was watching a press conference today, and DeBoer was saying, obviously there is some people I still know here. There's people that I still have relationships with. So it's definitely going to be I think he'll probably feel different emotions, going into this. But I wanted to get into some of the top players on each side. So obviously we're Stars fans, so we know Rope Hintz, who's had one of the probably best playoff runs in a while for the Stars, Max Domi, and Pavelski and what he's done. But I'm going to go to Todd first. Talk about Jack Eichel, who was in the same draft as Wyatt, if I'm not mistaken. So talk about him and what we'll need to do to kind of limit his chances.
Jack Eichel's a good player. Ever since he was traded from Buffalo to Vegas, I was pretty nervous when he got traded because it's like I know he's going to be competition for years to come. Him and Mark Stone and Marshall, the three of them together on that top line, we're gonna have to shut them down defensively. Otherwise, we're gonna eat it. So we have to shut them all three down.
All right. I hear you. I hear you on that top line. Go ahead, Richard.
Yeah, the Vegas has a strong team. The two expansion teams, those expansion drafts. It's not like they're drafting rookies. It's not a team full of rookies. So you get unprotected veterans in those drafts, and teams are not able to protect everybody. So both the Seattle and Las Vegas, right out of the gate, good teams.
Yeah.
Had solid goaltending. Vegas being on their third, I think they're third on the depth chart goaltender now. Maybe even further back than that, but the kid's playing well, and it's going to be a tough series.
Yeah, I 100% agree. These teams aren't here for nothing. They've grinded it out throughout the entire season. They're both here for a reason, and I think this is going to be a great matchup. One of the questions that was asked during the press conference is the comparison between, Seattle and Vegas. Is there some comparisons there that you see maybe possibly with the different lines? And Todd, I'll go to you first.
I don't think Vegas is as fast as Seattle, but they're definitely a more physical team. I think they're top line and they have more depth than Seattle does. But I don't know. It could go either way.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Dawk puts in a comment. This is the Golden Knights' sixth season as a franchise. They have been good all 6 seasons at 111 points this season. This may be the best version of the Golden Knights thus far. They have experience in the playoffs, and they are very familiar with what the Stars want to do. And I definitely hear you on that comment. Richard, do you want to add anything?
Well, yes, that like I was saying, they both faced each other 3 seasons ago in the bubble,
right?
And so they're very familiar with each other. I know that there's turnover, but it's pretty much the same core teams. Different goaltending on both sides, but this is Vegas is a tough team. They're gonna be very physical. Their defense will shut you down. So you have to pick your spots, and you have to capitalize when given the opportunities.
Yeah. Now let's talk about Ottinger, who obviously had a rocky series with Seattle. But at the end of the day, when it came to a Game 7, he showed up. He did exactly what he had to do. I don't know, his big thing is he's able to not let one game carry over to the other game. But I know he's very important going into this Game 1. Talk about Ottinger, Richard, and what his focus needs to be going into this series.
Well, he's got to be solid back there. Goaltender Jake Ottinger's been hot all year, and barring injury, I think that's going to shine through, and I think Dallas takes it in 6. But Ottinger is definitely the key to it right now. And then right in front of him is Miro Heiskanen, and that front defensive pairing, they play a lot of minutes, especially Miro, and they're going to have to lead the way. Yeah.
And that's one thing they've been talking about all day yesterday is Miro and just his greatness. Jim Neal was talking about drafting him and how important he was and how important he was going to be. And now we fast forward to this point, and he's playing the amount of minutes that he's playing, the contribution he makes. And when he wasn't on the ice, you could 100% see how it affected the Stars. Ty, talk about Miro and Ottinger.
Okay, with Otter first, I actually read an article today. He's 4-0-0 against Vegas.
Oh,
and
wow.
We haven't lost a game against Vegas this season either. Although 2 of those were in the shootout. So, I mean, shootouts can go either way. But we saw with Miro when he went down with the puck to the face, I talked about in the last podcast, you saw what happens to that defensive core. It runs through him, and he has to log half the game on time on ice. And so Studer stepped up as well. Studer gets a lot of bad comments on him, but he's really stepped up in these playoffs as well. So I think with him and Miro stepping up on that line one for defense, as long as they do their part, Otter's going to be fine in the back of the net as well.
Yeah, and I agree with you there. And I think, one of the biggest things is the experience on this team. Not only the experience, but also, these older players, and this is one thing that Coach DeBoer has talked about, taking a backseat, taking a lesser role, not playing as many minutes. And they've all, the cliche element, they all bought into, his speech, and they bought into the program, but you can see how and where it's got them. So Ottinger thinks the Stars, let me get to this comment by Anna. Otter thinks the Stars can win the first Stanley Cup since 1999. It's possible, but in my opinion, he can't carry the team on his back. The Stars defense must step up. I agree with you. That's 100% important. Then we also got Golden Knights right winger and captain Mark Stone is coming off of a back injury and missed most of the season. As a positive byproduct, he may not had to deal with the rigorous, of a long season, and he should be fresh. And that is another player for the Knights that also DeBoer has mentioned, because he knows that he hasn't played and he's coming off of this injury. So either way, I think both teams are pretty evenly matched. Both teams have some injured players, and both teams are going to have to figure out what works best. So one of the things I said is that this is kind of a measuring stick in this first game. I think whatever happens in the regular season is not necessarily an afterthought, but it swiped the slate is swiped, and now you're going into the playoffs where everything is different. So do you guys agree with that? Richard, I'll go to you. Is this kind of a measuring stick type of game when it comes to a game one?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Anything that happened in the regular season, whether you won all of them or you lost all of them or you split, it means nothing at this point. This is going to be, first to 4 wins, gets to move on. And, it's, having the team that Dallas does, I think that their depth, they can roll line after line after line, and all of them are capable of scoring on you. I mean, we've got Jamie Benn down on he's either on line 2 or 3 now. And, to have a player of that caliber, that deep on your team, that says a lot about the roster.
Yeah, definitely. Todd?
Yeah, I agree. Our lines match up really well with Vegas's lines as well. They have a great checking line on their 4th line, and we have a great checking line as well. But to the depth of the team, when Pavelski was hurt, you could see that Sagan stepped in and did really well, and now he's back on the second line. He's still producing. And then Jamie Benn as well. You have these veterans who are taking less time on the ice, but they're still producing. And you saw with Pavelski coming back from injury and scoring 4 goals in game 1. It's going to be a tough matchup, but I think Dallas pulls it off in 6.
Okay. All right.
Nice.
All right. The Stars should have advantage in goal. And Richard, you brought this up. They're on their 3rd and 4th goalies, but they're still winning. So that definitely says a lot about Vegas and who they are as a team. The Golden Knights have size. They have big and physical defensemen who are mobile. Every one of them. Obviously, that's going to be something that's important as well, when it comes down to this series. I guess Dawk's doing some producing back there in the back. He kind of switched up. But I appreciate him putting in some of the comments and everything. All right, so let's talk about some of the others, quote unquote. That's a term that's sometimes used in sports. Essa Lindell, Joel Hanley, Kiviranta, Roddick. Let's talk about some of those guys and what is going to be needed from them in this series, and specifically in game one. And Richard, I'll come to you.
Okay, so the guys that are playing, down on your third and fourth lines, those guys, if you get production out of them, that's all icing on the cake. But you have to have production out of those lines. You have to get some scoring on your third and fourth lines in unexpected opportunities. And, that's really what's going to push whichever team takes this series. That's what's going to push them over the top, is one of these guys that is lesser heard of, but somebody's going to step up and somebody's going to be the hero.
Yeah. And hopefully it's us.
Yes,
I think we can all agree with that.
I would love to see the kid continue doing what he's doing. Yeah. Wyatt Johnston is, that goal he had the other night.
Oh my gosh.
That's all I can say is wow.
Yeah. The way he just flipped it over the goalie's head.
That was off of his forehead.
Yeah, I know. That tells you, and he just turned 20. I believe he just turned 20 last week, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. So, man, Wyatt, and I'll come to you, Todd, here in just a minute. But yeah, Wyatt, the boy wonder, he is just amazing, and it just tells you and shows that, which everybody has said it, him staying with Joe Pavelski has been a huge thing, I think, to his career, but also it just shows the young talent that he is, and I think there's not a limit. I'm not even gonna say sky's the limit. There's not even a limit to what his ceiling is. But Todd, I'll come to you. Let's talk about the others, and then if you want to give some thoughts on Wyatt.
So I think with your fourth line, you got Kiviranta, Glendening, and Foxa. They do what they do best. They check, and before checking, back checking. I believe even Kiviranta and Lindell are on penalty kill, and they do a lot of good things on the penalty kill. And so I think as long as they do what they need to do and check, they're going to create opportunities, and we're going to find a goal from them. With Wyatt Johnston, he leads all rookies in goals in the playoffs, and it's a shame that he's not up for a Calder finalist. And I'll say it again, I think he's underrated. He should be up there in the finalists for Calder, but unfortunately that didn't happen.
Yeah. And a lot of people have talked about that. Coach DeBoer has, the media definitely has, and I think it's and I think he definitely takes that. I think if you're any type of athlete, a lot of these they do not forget things. They write it down in their mental notebook, and I think he definitely remembers that, and I think that's a contributor as well to what he's doing. Let me get to another note here. This is talking about the size of the Golden Knights. We have the first guy, 6'3", 215, Braden McNabb, 6'4", 215, Shea Theodore, 6'2", 197, Zach Whitecloud, 6'2", 207, and then Nicholas Hogg, 6'6", 230. So they've definitely got some size, no doubt about that. And I think that is definitely going to be important, because if you look at I think that was the Minnesota series, that's when we really had physicality going on, and that's when Pavs went out, so I think if anything, the Vegas Golden Knights are definitely going to come at us with that size, because that was tough for us early in that Minnesota series, and I think we adjusted and we were able to take care of business. Goaltending and special teams wins titles. Vegas is not great at either. They advantage stars if the otter is dancing. Yeah, and I agree with that 100% when it comes to the power play, when it comes to the penalty kill. Those are definitely going to be important to us for this series. So let me get to, I wanted to go through the all-time regular season record, 6-6-2, 3-3-2 at home, 3-3 on the road. So this is game one of the Western Conference Finals. Game two will be on Sunday. let's get to some keys to the game for the Stars. If you want to 1 to 3, however many you want to give, and Richard, I'll come to you. Some keys to the game.
I think that getting out early on them, being able to settle in and check them coming through the zone is going to be key number one. Got to get on these guys quick because they're going to try to use that size to wear you down. But if you can get them chasing, I think that's going to bode well for the Stars. Number two, I hate to say it, got to stay injury free. Cannot lose anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And, they've been very lucky so far, and that has to do with how they play. They're a good team. The guy, rolling those lines, keeping everybody fresh. I don't know how Miro Heiskanen does it. He plays 33 plus minutes a night. And that's I guess it's good to be young.
Yeah. Young and in great shape. That was one thing that Rope Hint mentioned about him. Todd, before were you done, Richard? I don't want to cut you off.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. All right, there was a comment here I wanted to bring up. The goalie for Vegas is Aiden Hill, who was drafted in 2015 as the 15th pick in the third round, 76 overall. He has a 95% save percentage in the last 5 games. And so is Laurent Brissett. Is he the starter or is he the backup? They have him listed as the number 1, but it depends on whatever goes from game to game, I'm assuming. But Richard, keys to the game.
I just did keys to the game. It's
I'm sorry, Todd. Yeah, sorry.
All good. First key to the game for me is score first. Attack the goalie early, get in his face. Goalies don't like that. Number 2, shut down the first line. That's where the production comes from. That's Stone, Eichel, Marsault. We'll see what happens there. And I don't think they're as deep as us. So if we can shut down their first line, we'll be fine. And number 3, get on the power play. They're 60% killing penalties. And if we can score on the power play, we'll do fine.
Yeah. All right. We got a comment. Dawk says T-Mobile Arena is considered one of the league's most electric road venues. It's so loud, I can only contribute in the show and writing. However, Otter has performed well. Yeah. If you were watching at the beginning, it was so loud in there, we could barely hear him. We can just hear, the PA guy and the music and everything. But T-Mobile Arena is used for a lot of different events too, boxing. And I know they're probably eventually going to have a basketball team there because everything's coming to Vegas. A's are coming to Vegas, so it's I definitely agree. I think it's definitely going to be electric. All right, so game 1 coming up tonight. Puck drop will be probably in about the next 8 to 9 minutes. We got another comment here. The Golden Knights are bigger and more physical than the Stars, but may not be as deliberate about their physicality as Minnesota were. Vegas is a mix of Seattle and Minnesota. Well, use what you've learned in these past 2 series, which I believe they will do. I think they have the right coach. I think they have the right players. So looking forward to this matchup. Give me a prediction, guys. Not a homer pick. I'm going to give a homer pick because. But Richard, give me a prediction. Who do you see winning this first game?
It's a tough one to pick this first one. Going up against a home crowd like that, it's going to be electric in that building. And as Todd said, the key to it is to score first and score on the power play. Draw the penalties when you can and take advantage of it. My prediction is going to be Stars 3-2.
Okay.
And I think I've got Stars in 6. Take 1 on the road here and win your home games.
Definitely.
I guess they're going to have to get it in 6. Yep, they'll win it at home.
Yeah. You and Dawk are thinking alike. He said 3-2 as well. Stars tonight. And I do think I'll give my prediction. I do think some of that momentum does carry They just finished their series earlier this week on Monday. And I do think the adrenaline is going to be high. Every day this week they've heard, are you playing for Pete? What do you think about Pete? Coming into Vegas with what happened with Pete. So I think this is going to be definitely a game where they're going to come out, I think, more aggressive probably than what they've done in every game one series. So I'm going to go 4-2 Stars. I think they're gonna win this first one. And Todd, I'll go to you.
I also have the Stars scoring 4-2. I think Jason Robertson gets a goal tonight. He has 37 shots on net this postseason. He's due for one, and I think we'll have an empty net goal as well. So it'll be 4-2. And Stars in 6.
All right, awesome. And one thing I'll say this before we get out of here: Jason Robertson. People have been in the message groups. They've been very critical of him, but he has contributed in other ways, and I think that is more important than just scoring a goal. I think however how you contribute and it helps the team get a win, then I think that's the most important piece. And as long as the coach isn't benching you or the players haven't lost trust or faith in you, I think you just continue to do what he does each and every game. So thank you guys for coming on. Richard and Todd, great doing this show with you. Thank you, Dawk, for kicking it off. We will be back on Sunday as we have game 2. It'll be at 2 p.m. Central. So we will have a pregame show for that as well. But thank you guys for coming through.
All right, gentlemen.
It quieted down a little bit, but at least we to say bye. So, hey, Richard and Todd, I appreciate it. But man, when I say they got it banging so loud in here, it's coming out my chest, man. So I couldn't do anything, but good show. I tried to put in all of my little game notes in the chat, so I'm glad y'all were able to get those out. But hey, Todd, Richard, we appreciate it. If y'all are available Sunday afternoon for game 2 pregame, let's do it.
All right. You guys take care. Stars in 6. I think we're going to agree with that. And let's go Stars. Have a great night.
There we go.
Yeah.
Have a good night, gentlemen.
7, it's 2 words that just send everybody to the edge of their seat with anticipation. Here's Hintz. He's in. He scores! It's Hintz who draws first blood in Game 7. Back in. He scores! Oh, my. What a shot! Wyatt Johnston. And this terrific Star season still has more to come. The Stars are going to the Western Conference Final.
It was a victory that radiated through the entire state. A Game 7 triumph on home ice, more than 2 decades in the making. Now, this compelling playoff expedition has entered the deep end. The past month has produced moments that took our breath away.
He's got 4! You gotta be kidding me! Joe Pavelski! It's amazing!
And made our hearts skip a beat.
A game saver from Otger!
However, there's more drama yet to unfold. As we have arrived at an alluring showdown. A Final Four rematch from just 3 years ago. 2 superior contenders continuing their endeavor towards hockey's ultimate prize. Tonight, the puck drops in Sin City. With new scores to be settled and hostilities ready to rise. Welcome to the Western Conference Final.